Hello, YouTube. Normally I'm posting videos about Moldavite and things like that, but I think there's a really important message that needs to get out to the public, especially if you are looking for any kind of work-at-home jobs. Recently, via Facebook and my resume that's public on Indeed, I have been approached by people posing themselves to be hiring work-at-home data entry clerks. They will say your training wage is usually about $15 to $18, and then once you complete the training, they will pay you $24 to $25 an hour. I have been scammed 2 times by this. Or I should say, they tried really hard to scam me. But I am smart, I'm a good detective, and I figure shit out. So, let's just get down to this, okay? They're gonna make it look as real as possible. They're going to give you an interview, and they're gonna ask you a lot of questions. Why do you feel like you should be hired for this job? I've been asked questions like, do you have a laser printer, a scanner, those such things? And they say that they will send you the equipment you need to run your office. So, they get you going. They start your training. They'll call you in the morning and get started on trying to teach you data entry through whatever means. And I went through this process. I spent 6 days training. And what happened during this time was 3 days into it, I get a check in the mail for $4,800 that I'm to cash and deposit into my account, and then I'm to buy the equipment. They don't just mail me the equipment. They want to send me a check for me to cash and then buy the equipment. But you ain't going to be buying the equipment from Walmart. You're going to be buying it from their vendor. This is what I was told. So, I put the check in my bank. And luckily, my bank is smart enough to see something that looks fishy. 6 days into it, the check was returned because it looked tampered with and fraudulent, and they would not cash the check. Now, had I had the funds in the bank to cover the check, I would have had the funds, and then I would have bought the equipment through their vendor. And then that check would have bounced, and I would have owed my bank $4,800, and probably wouldn't have even got any equipment. And then they would have blocked me and ran away with the money. So they're using you to launder their money in hopes that you're getting office equipment and this really good paying job. So I learned from the first experience about this scam. So then last night on Facebook, and I live in a small town, and they don't pay very well in this town. And I saw the post from a different person. It was a female this time. Before it was men. And I figured out that those men live in the Bronx, New York, and that the company that wrote the check, and they mailed me this check FedEx, and that company is a company called Critical Ideas, and they sell software. So you could try to call the number, and I have it. I looked it up online, but anyways, they won't answer the phone. I learned from that experience. So last night I saw a post in my little small town's, happenings page on Facebook. Data entry clerk, work at home, $25 an hour, blah, 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 training, 15. I messaged the lady. Her Facebook profile looked like she was from Price. She only had like 2 pictures up, and they were catfishing men, so that was kind of a red flag. So anyways, same thing. She gave me a link to talk to somebody else who was going to interview me via, not Vimeo, but something, or not Vimeo, some sort of messaging app that I downloaded, you know, but not face-to-face, just typing. So they're asking me a lot of questions. Do you have this office equipment? The weird question was, do you have experience copying checks? Which I told them that was a red flag. She ignored it. She's asking me questions like, who do I bank with? Do I have credit cards? How do I prefer to get paid? Weekly, bi-weekly, blah, 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 blah. Why do I think that I'm qualified for the job? Which I straight up told her. I'm smart. I'm analytical. I'm a quick learner. Blah, 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 blah. And then I said, let me ask you a question, if I may. How do you plan on getting me the office equipment? And she says, we will mail it to you. Then later on, we're chatting, and I go, let me ask you another question. How do I get this office equipment? Are you going to mail it to me directly? Or are you going to send me a check that I cash and then I buy from your vendor? And she took a long time to answer that question. And then she said, we send you a check. And then I asked her again, do I buy from Walmart or do you have a vendor that I buy from? And she said, vendor. Well, I explained to her that I've already gone through this with somebody else, and that check was bounced and claimed to be fraudulent, and I was out of 6 days of my time pretending to train. I mean, then they go through a lot of effort to make this seem like a legitimate thing. And that post on Facebook last night had 25 of our locals. I'm interested. I mean, it's like they were fishing and they caught a bunch of people with a net. Okay, and I screenshotted my conversations and I posted it on the happenings page and some other pages to warn people so that because what if they had the money in the bank? Then they would have got the funds released early. They would have bought this equipment and they would have been out like however much money. So this is basically a check laundering scam. It's not a real job, and there's a lot of these out there. There's so many scams right now. It's unreal. So I just wanted to put this message out there. Be very, very careful. And ask these questions up front, especially if they say that they're going to send you all the equipment. You got to be saying how. How does this work? Are you mailing me a check? And do I take that check and cash it and buy it from your company? Because it's a scam. Please just don't follow that scam, okay? Love you guys. Peace and take care.